Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Are you ready to rock? You are off stage with DWP, and I got my brother, my soldier in the front lines. I feel like I've been in the foxhole with you
Yeah,
for 2 decades, Jacoby. It's Jacoby Shaddix of Peace with us today, everybody. Hey, Jacoby.
what's going down, man? Thanks for having me, dude. It's good to see your face, man.
It's great to see your face. Kind of wish I'd see you in person, maybe
Yeah,
backstage at a festival with 40,000 people ready for you to go on stage. My first question, how's the family? How are you? Is everybody, please give us an update on that.
yeah, man. Shaddix family, dude. It's all good here at the house, man. It's just enjoyed some quality time with my kids and been cooped up here for quite a while, and we're just trying to find creative ways not to go crazy. And it's been honestly, like, it's a very trying time, but it's also we're just putting some gratitude on the situation and keeping our perspectives right, and trying to enjoy each other's company as much as possible. And it's been great. My oldest son's going away to college later this year, and so it's like it's kind of a blessing to be able to spend this time with him, although he wasn't able to like graduate, like a proper graduation or whatnot. But it's like it's you got to roll with the punches, man. That's what I know about life. And my son's learning that in this moment. It's like, sometimes you just got to let go and let things happen the way that they're going to be. And it's good, man. We celebrated his 18th birthday in quarantine. It was like 2 weeks after the lockdown began, and it was interesting, man. To have an 18-year-old birthday party, to be able to like throw down something that he would have a good time with. And I had a really close friend that's a tattoo artist, and so he came over and threw a tattoo on my son for his 18th birthday.
First
And
one?
yeah, first one. He got my
What?
face on him. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
Totally kidding.
Don't tell us where he put it either.
He got a big old tattoo right here. It looks good. It's like some roses and a cross, and it's a beautiful tat, man. And it was funny, man, because at the end of the day, we're thinking like, all right, bud, how did you enjoy your birthday party? And he was like, this is probably like my favorite one I've ever had. And me and my wife kind of looked at each other like, wow, cool. Like we scored.
All
We
right.
nailed it.
Yeah, crushed it.
Yeah.
If there is a generation, because I'm not, that may be set up to actually adjust in a pandemic, it's probably the millennials. It's probably the 18 to 24 who kind of sadly have grown up on looking at a small screen where
Yeah.
they've been able to communicate
Yeah.
and I kind of isolate themselves in a weird way.
Yeah, man. It's definitely, we mind our screen time around here. We try not to be on screens all day around the house, because that's one thing I'm like, what, y'all, we need to get outside. We need to get our blood pumping. We need to get that sun hitting our face. Like, it was funny, yesterday, finally me and my wife had it right. We were like, man, we've been in this house with these kids for like almost 3 months now. And we need, like, because we used to go on date nights and stuff like that. I'm like, we need a freaking date night. We called her mom. We're like, hey, you mind? Like, kids will come up for a couple days. So the kids were left yesterday. And so we have yesterday and today for date night here at the Shaddix house. So I'm
And
like,
can I ask what a date night in quarantine? What is that?
so date night in quarantine is we order out the food. I went and picked it up, came back to the house. We laid in bed, watched a movie. Then now we're about to go swimming out in the backyard here in a little while. And then I'll probably grill something out. And then, we'll play the angle in the backyard like we're at some fancy restaurant. And it'll be great, man. I play server and lover.
Yeah, you do. What you guys been watching anything?
So obviously, when we got into the deal, we started watching Joe Exotic and that whole thing. It was like, wow, along with everybody else in the world. That was nuts. Ozark has been a cool one. I'm not finished up with Ozark yet, but I've been digging that one. And then in the spirit of cleaning the house, we've watched a few episodes of Hoarders too. So we're like, well, at least we're not like that.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
man.
personally, on the tiger, dude, I had to draw the line. Animals in cages, I can't. It trips me out.
It's definitely not. I don't support it. I mean, as far as what's going on with that, it's like the fact that I learned from that show is there's more of those tigers in captivity than there are in the wild. So that's a problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's a major problem right there. And yeah, man, sometimes people just, you know, get an inch and take a mile with that. And it just seems like that whole situation is just wildly out of control.
Well, I want to take it back if we can, because no, not a lot of people know, but my personal history with Papa Roach, well, number one, goes back 17 plus years.
Oh yeah.
But forgetting me for a moment, DWP and Papa Roach. There probably isn't another band that, for the lack of a better term, is DWP's house band than P Roach. You guys from day one have been with us. You've seen us grow together. We've watched you guys grow and have a kind of another phase to your career.
Yes.
Going back, this is supposed to be a big ass year for Papa Roach. It is the 20th anniversary of Enfest, which was released in 2000. My personal experience, and I was trying to find it, dude. I was Googling the way I got introduced to P Roach. I was at record labels. I was at Capitol Records then, working things like Radiohead and Coldplay. And Janet Jackson gave a quote about what she was. Do you remember this at all? About what she was listening to in 2000?
No, I don't.
You don't?
No.
I was trying to find it. And she's like, well, the number one song, my favorite song right now is by this band called Papa Roach.
Wow.
It's called Last Resort. And then you guys played the MTV Awards as a warm up.
Yeah.
And then personally, what clinched it for me, there's two things that clinched it for me. Sorry, I'm going to talk just for a bit. Take a trip down memory lane. Again, I was at Capitol Records, and you guys played K-Rock's Weenie Roast.
Oh yeah.
Last Resort was pop, and you played a lot of Weenie Roast. But the first one, you guys played early on, and Last Resort came on, and you jumped into you jumped onto the scrim.
Oh yes.
And it came down.
Yes.
Right? And usually, like punk rockers or whatever, you could go back to the stage. But for everybody who's watching on Off Stage with DWP, Jacoby went right into the crowd to make sure everybody in that area, and I remember this really well, was okay.
Yeah.
And do you remember that?
I remember that. I remember just going crazy on stage, and they had the jib like for the camera, and I went and like swung out on it and then hanging on it, and then the thing came down. I'm like, oh shit, it's about to go all bad right now.
Right.
And help try to push this thing back up, make sure people are cool. The band's playing. I'm just going, oh God, I think my career might be over right now. This might be it.
You're 15 minutes gone.
Oh my God. What a moment, man.
Yeah.
You remember that.
Fast forward to about 2003, 2004. Now I'm at Geffen Records. DreamWorks Records was folded into Geffen.
Yep.
You guys had 2 records under your belt. And I don't know if you remember this, but for whatever fucked up reason, you guys were on the chopping block.
Oh yeah, I remember.
At Geffen, and you guys came in to meet with me. I was running rock promotion, and I didn't know you that well, but I remembered from K-Rock. I remembered MTV and how great Enfest the record was, and Dead Cell, by the way, as you probably know, is always my jam. It's always, and you guys used to open with that shit.
Yeah.
And Jacoby, you guys came in with so much energy and passion into this one meeting. And I got out of the meeting and went to the heads at Geffen and Interscope and said, we got to make sure this band is on this label, please. So much that if you remember, HF Festival.
Oh, I remember.
In 2004,
yep.
You guys didn't have a record out, but Lisa Warden, God bless Lisa, who's in Los Angeles now, put you on, and you decided to play a new song that nobody's ever heard before called Getting Away with Murder. And for some whacked out reason, dude, you demanded a sing-along in front of 60,000 people for a song that nobody ever heard before.
Yeah, that's right.
And it was a sing-along. And fortunately, my hierarchies at the label were with me watching the show, and that sealed the deal.
Yeah, man. I remember all those moments like vividly. Because it was just those were times in the band when it was like I had just gotten sober for the first time. I'd really been struggling with drugs and alcohol for some years. I've been out there touring and, just kind of lost my way. And when we came back to write for Getting Away with Murder, that's when DreamWorks was being folded into Geffen, and the future for the band was very uncertain. And this was one of the times when I just had a really clear head about me, and we were very intentional about, we got to get this career back on track, because it feels like the industry is just going to leave us behind. And we wanted to make a record that, you know, felt relevant, that was authentic, still us, but progressive. And we went and did that. And then I remember sitting in that meeting with you guys. And I remember before we went to that meeting, I just remember talking with the guys and going, you know, this is an opportunity to talk to our next, you know, partners for the next few years about, you know, where we can take this band, because we believe in it so much. And like, let's just go in there and let them know like that we are who we are, and we back up our word, and we're passionate, and we have music to back it up, and we got a show to back it up. And I remember that meeting with you guys, and then, you know, carry on to the HFS festival. That's a moment in time for me that will live in my memory, you know, to the day I die. Like, I'll remember that, because that was kind of like, for me, it was like, this is where we seal the deal or we don't seal the deal. Like, this is the new company. And I remember saying something to the effect of like, I guarantee you I'm gonna get these people to sing along with me to this song. Like, I'm telling you. And we went out there and we played that song, and it just went over. It was just a big moment, you know, and it's cool to be able to, you know, look back on that, you know, and still be friends through all this, you know, through this whole business and this rigmarole we've been through. And you know, I've been told by some people in the business, like, you know, the cream will rise to the top, you know, and that was one of those moments where, damn, we was creamy. We was cream on top for a minute. And you know, to be able to do that alongside you guys went to war for us straight up, because our name was kind of like, it was mud for a minute in the business. And then we turned that thing around on that record. We ended up doing, I think it was like 1.5 million records with you guys. And what a great moment. What a great story to be able to tell, to look back on, and to refer to. Like, that moment in time in my life, Gary, like, straight up, like, when times get tough, I'll look back on that moment, on that period of time with the band, and go, you know what, like, we pulled the bootstraps up one time before, we can do this again, you know. And I think that spirit is that's an artist's spirit. You have it, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, you've been through different amalgamations of your career, and so have I, you know. And it's like, being creative individuals and being part of this art and commerce that's mixed together, it's like, it needs creative people that are resilient. And thank God, you know, for cats like you, because like you said, it's like when we did Rock on the Range. I remember the first time we did Rock on the Range, we were on the side stage and we ripped it. I just remember having such a great show. And I think about a couple months later, we get a call from you and your team, and they're like, hey, you know, we don't usually do this, but, you know, what do you guys think about coming back next year? And you guys will rock the main stage. And I'm just like, oh, hell yes. Like, let's do this. And it's, you know, to be straight, like, you guys have, you know, with DWP have been such an influential piece of rock culture, you know, and being able to like rally our genre and build festivals that create culture around what we're about, you know. And it's cool to see, man, because rock is coming back in a major way, dude. The Sonic Temple we did with y'all was just bam, like, wow, what a moment, you know. Another one of those moments, man, where I have to pinch myself. And it's trippy. I keep sharing these moments with you, Gary. It's good
I
stuff,
know,
man.
brother. I love it. No, I think, you know, and we're jumping around because I do want to get
Yeah,
back to the first Rock on the Range, and on Sonic Temple. For those who don't remember or maybe not know the backstory, there's one of many. This is one of many backstories of Papa Roach and DWP and Jacoby and Gary. We had the Prodigy
yeah,
set to be direct close on the Saturday night to Disturbed at Sonic Temple. And Keith of Prodigy, yet another casualty in our rock and roll brotherhood. The first band, this is no hype, that we thought of to replace Prodigy was Papa Roach, and I went against the grain of the industry and texted Jacoby,
I remember.
and I still have the text. And Jacoby even shouted out the text during the performance, and I'm like, P. Roach, direct to close. And there's a backstory to that, because the last time you played in Columbus with us was you were third. It was you into Offspring, into I forgot, maybe Korn. And you and I were watching the Offspring together on side of stage, and you're like, dude, this is the slot. You got to get me next time.
Yeah,
And so it opened up due to unfortunate circumstance.
yeah,
But
man.
you took the most of it, and the P. Roach's rendition of Firestarter was one of the highlights of DWP's 15-year career.
Yeah, it was. I'll tell you, Gary. Like that was a massive honor to be able to come and celebrate the iconic group, the Prodigy, you know, and to celebrate Keith Flint's life through his music. And you know, I was just looking back through the text, and I got the text right here. It says, "Unbelievable tragedy in our world continues with Keith the Prodigy, and we thought of one band, one man to honor the fire starter in Ohio. Saturday, May 18th, with love." And I remember getting that text and just going,
Wow.
"Oh man, like that was a heavy moment, you know, because it's just like we've lost some good ones over the years, you know, but in true rock and roll fashion, we got to celebrate. Freddie Mercury says, you know, the show must go on, and it was an opportunity for us to celebrate his life, and I just feel honored, and we wanted to seize that moment, you know, and give the fans something special. And that was another one of those moments, dude, where I just like, I like halfway through that show, that set that night, I just pinched myself. I'm like, is this really happening? Like, this is real. Like we've been doing this for so many years, and I still have moments like that where we step up on the stage and it's like, I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe I'm doing this. And I think that, I guess for me, it's like I still am a fan of music. I still am not over what this thing has, you know, given me the opportunity to do and to connect with people through this medium of music. And it's just like, yeah, man, that night was a big one for us, you know, and definitely rest in peace and all respect to Keith and his loved ones. That's just ultimate tragedy, man. I hate hearing that stuff. But what a great opportunity for us to be able to celebrate, you know, life and music.
I love that you kept that text, Jacoby. That actually means a hell of a lot to me. You know, here we are off stage with DWP and our good friend Jacoby Shaddix. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. I want to get back to Infest and Last Resort. There was, and I just have to kind of lift from Billboard magazine in 2000, which, by the way, Last Resort was voted number 17 in the top 200 of 2000.
Look at that.
And dude, if everybody Googles, the 2000 was a crazy year. I mean, incredible music. Eminem dropped. Beyonce, Destiny's Child had the #1 song of the year. But that's and then I didn't even touch rock. There were so many. And you know, you've had this 20-year career that's been kind of, it hasn't been a pop career. It's rock and roll's hard. There's no short circuit to fame. There's no fucking American Idol in this. You know, I see bands now, it just takes a long time. It's baby steps. Like one of your favorite bands that you've taken out, Asking Alexandria. I kind of feel they have a moment right now with their new record.
Yeah, dude. I'm loving what they're doing, dude. It's dope, man. We were out on this tour. We took them out this last summer, and they were playing me a bunch of the new music, and I was just like, y'all are onto something, dude. This is special, man, and it's really cool to see.
But having said that, Asking Alexandria has been at it for a decade. When Papa Roach came on the scene in 2000, it was just a different era where things like MTV would make something pop, make something just take off. You were one of those bands. Looking back, because you had like immediate, like almost like pop stardom in a sense.
Oh yeah.
And before you answer that question, I just want to read this Billboard review of Last Resort because it's really telling. Suicide has been a subject in popular music for decades, but there has never been a song before or since quite like Last Resort, an absolutely pummeling track performed from a place of total anguish.
Man.
I know, that's rad, right?
That's it, man. That says it, dude.
You still feel the same way about that song?
Most definitely. I feel that song it's a lifeline to a lot of people, and has been. I've met thousands of kids over the years that have told us, yo, that song saved my life. That song was there for me in my darkest hour. And it's like, if I could look back on my career just for that one moment, like just that piece, it's like, wow, to be able to to make a song that impacts people in a positive way that it has, it's like mission accomplished. You know, it wasn't really my intention. It was just like, we're just writing music. We got to get this off our chest. But to look back on it now and see the effect that it's had, the positive effect. And also, man, it's like, it's one of those songs that it's like, it cuts deep and it's at the heart of the matter. Yes. Like, you know, people have been through some really dark stuff, and Last Resort has brought some people through some, you know, feelings of suicide or whatnot. But then it's also, on the other hand, it's also like become this crazy party anthem too, which is like, I just saw this dude like stop, drop in a Walmart the other day and just start singing Last Resort in the middle of everybody like pandemic shopping with a broom, you know? And it's like, so it's just one of those songs. It's like, it survives the test of time. And I'm just fortunate that it's been such a positive piece of art out there floating around to be a lifeline to people struggling, man. It's powerful stuff.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know how to phrase this properly. It's you know, I ain't Dan Rather here quite
Sometimes
yet.
you gotta wing it.
But yeah, so Infest took off, multi-million, MTV fame, rock star fame. But then you've had this kind of 15-year career of that baby steps that we've been talking about.
Yep.
Is there one that's preferred, or one of those two, or if you can talk about the differences between those two?
Yeah, I think the difference in my life, right? It's like from the beginning, it was like we struggled as an independent band for like 6 years. Like, not struggle, we just were an independent band, you know, and we were trying to get a record deal, and we finally got a record deal, and you know, we're thinking we're going to get in the van and go sell a couple 100,000 records, you know, eventually move up to a bus and, you know, do it like that. And it was quite the opposite. It was just a rocket ship to the top, you know, and we went from being in a van and opening up a side stage on Warped Tour to headlining Warped Tour to sharing stage with Korn and Eminem and at Radio City Music Hall and, you know, New Year's Eve on MTV when the ball's dropping, and just being in the center of like this, like you said, like almost pop stardom. And I just didn't know how to handle it. You know, I just was like, oh, this is how we're doing it, man. Just partying, woo. And then, you know, fast forward a couple of years later, and the rug was kind of like pulled out from underneath us, and we're like, oh, reality, like we're not on top anymore. What do we do? And, you know, I think for me, our story is interesting in that regard because we've kind of built our way back slowly over the last 15 years into a band that's worthy of headlining and worthy of being, you know, I guess where we're at now. And I'm just so grateful. And I think that we've always had the mind of hard work pays off. And so we've never been strangers to that, because that's what it was like for 6 years before we got a record deal. Right. And so the brotherhood was strong through that. And I think that going through that kind of like rise and fall was a major test. And we struggled through it for a while, and, you know, we wanted to hang up the towel a few times, but there was just something about getting up on that stage every time and just getting that feeling and that connection that it's just like, we just want more of it, you know? And I'm so grateful that we stuck it out and stuck with it, because look where we are now, you know what I mean? Like, we look back on this first record that was iconic, that sold millions of albums, and we can celebrate it, and it's part of our story. And then we have records that follow that are just as big as a part of our story, and some of them maybe not as successful in the pop realm, but it's like when you look at a career, every piece of the puzzle is important, you know? And so I can't necessarily look down upon, you know, the whole moment where we took a ride to the top, because fuck, that was rad. But the hard work, man, I just look at that 15 years and I feel that that's the way. For something to last, nothing good comes so quick, you know? And I think we experienced the quick fame and the quick fall. And then we got to experience both parts of a career in a
right,
sense, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So it just didn't happen in the order that we thought it was going to happen in.
Well, probably like no regrets in that sense. Best thing that ever happened to the band, would you say? The rise and the fall? Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. Because I think if we would, where do we go? Where do you go from the top, Gary?
Right. It's like getting a Mercedes when you're 16 years old. Like, what are you going to do? You know, you're 19. What do you get, a Honda?
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, and so to where I'm at now, it definitely makes me feel very grateful for where we've been and where we've come to.
Right. And it's good to note that you guys did slog it out for 6 years. It wasn't like you made a demo, you got signed to a record label, and you're on the MTV Awards 6 months later.
Yeah, no,
you did do the hard work.
Oh yeah, dude. We sent demos out to every record company, got shot down by everybody multiple times. And it was just like, we just felt, I don't know, I think I had a certain amount of delusion of grandeur as a youngster, you know what I'm saying? And I think that anybody that does music and goes, I'm going to be a rock star, like, there's a certain amount of delusion you have to have. Like, I still even have it to this day, like, where people around me are like, man, you're crazy. I'm like, I know.
Crazy like a fox.
That's right.
For those who haven't seen Papa Roach live, how dare you? But you guys, you guys remind me of bands that I grew up with, in the sense that it's 110% from the first note on a Papa Roach show. Like a band one of the great live bands that I've always seen as a kid was U2. And I say that because I felt Bono, like every song, his life depended on it.
Oh yeah.
And I feel the same way when you see Zach in Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah, man.
Like every song is like life or death, and I get that feeling from a Papa Roach show. Who inspired? It goes to who inspired you. What was Jacoby listening to in his bedroom that said, "This is what I fucking have to do"?
Oh, dude, it was, for me early on, it was when I first really got the bug. It was Guns N' Roses and Poison at that time. I was like, be a rock star, and then my dad was like, you need to check out Led Zeppelin. And then I checked out Led Zeppelin, I was like, oh my God, my mind was blown. And then, as a teenager, I started to discover more and more music on my own. And that's when I really got into Deftones. I was going to Deftones shows. Social Distortion was another one of those groups that I really loved. And then, seeing bands like Korn get out there and just decimate an arena in that regard, I was just like, oh man, that's what I want, and so and Rage Against the Machine, like you said, I saw those guys. They came around, they were supposed to have Wu-Tang out with them to open that tour. Wu-Tang had to bail off the tour, and the Roots came, and so it was the Roots and Rage, and I was like, score, because I love the Roots. And so both of those, that show in particular, I remember seeing that here in Sacramento, and I was just like, oh my God, this is fire. Like, I was in the mosh pit and just came out, dirt in my teeth and kind of muddied up, and just like, God, I love this. This is life.
All right, quick question. If there's one song from Rage that you wish you wrote for Papa Roach.
Oh, Killing in the Name of, dude.
Killing?
In the Name of. Oh. Yeah. I just remember hearing that thing, just going, oh my God, what am I listening to?
Yeah.
It was one of those groups that just, that's why I was excited, man. I heard they were coming back around on tour again. And then, this stuff came around. So I guess maybe they're going to push it back to next year, I would hope.
That's yet another bummer of 2020. It's supposed to be the year of Endfest. Rage is supposed to get back together.
Yeah.
We've got a big election coming up. There's
oh man. Where's Rage?
So,
we need him.
Exactly.
President.
Can you give me your plan? Yeah. Can you give me your plans for with Run the Jewels as the VP?
Yes.
Right?
Dude, Killer Mike for president. Fuck it. Killer Mike for president. Let's go.
Interesting. Hashtag.
Totally. I love that, dude. I think he's so awesome, man. We've been
this gets me sad, because this is like, it gets me pissed. This is the type of stuff we should be, you and I and everybody, like Wimmer, we would be talking backstage or walking you to the stage in front of 40,000.
Yeah.
You were Papa Roach was supposed to be direct to Metallica at Epicenter in North Carolina. Right. So I know, bro.
Hey, dude, why did you remind me?
Sorry.
Remind me. That was going to be like, we had such a great plan too for the show as far as the production went. We had this.
Well, let's look for 20. This will happen. This shall be. I want to talk about one performance in particular that really put DWP and Papa Roach to the next level, which was Born for Greatness at Rock on the Range.
Oh yeah, man.
It was such a wild weekend. It was the year that the day before Soundgarden was to be our headliner on Friday.
Yep.
Chris Cornell sadly took his life. But you guys came, and I think you just said, it goes back to this 110%. It goes back to my life is dependent on this one performance.
Yeah, man.
That you give it all. Can you go back to your thoughts on Born for Greatness in Columbus, Ohio?
Oh yeah, man. So we were we got the offer to do the show, and we always want to make an impression when we do these shows, you know, especially when you're in front of so many people. It's like, this is when the rock world is all together, and like, this is our moment. And I remember we were looking at the show, and we're like, well, we're going on in the daytime, so we got to think about something that can be creative during the daytime, that can be impactful, that people walk away and talk about. And I remember, you know, before there was a movie called Drumline, and I was always loving, you know, the drum lines, and when they get up there and they do the drum battles, I always love those. And I remember talking with the management, and I was like, yeah, I used to be in a marching band back in the day. You know, it'd be cool to, you know, do something you know, collaborate with that. And this was probably like a year before. This wasn't even in the conversation. And Ian, our manager, one of our managers, hit us up on a group text. He's like, hey, what do you guys think about doing getting Ohio State marching band to do Born for Greatness with us? And I was like, oh my God, that would be so sick. And everybody in the band instantly signed on. And so we sent the song to Ohio State, and they politely declined. They were like, it doesn't fit the standards and practices of our band or whatever. And so we were like, whatever, like, let's go after like the high school state champs. Let's go find the dopest high school band. And honestly, it's like, we should have went that route in the beginning, because it's like, to celebrate the youth is the most important thing. And I thought it was just so great that we had this opportunity. We found this group. They were the state champs. They're called Olentangy Orange.
Olentangy.
That's right, Olentangy. So we reached out to the director, the band director, and sent him the song, and they were all in from the get-go. And they put together a routine for it, and then we showed up a day early at the Newport Theater in Columbus to rehearse it. And I remember I remember being so stoked, going out and shaking everybody's hands and meeting everybody before we did the performance. And we came in and we did one run through, and they came in and marched in, and they were all kind of stiff, you know, and they came in and we played it a couple times. And you know, it's kind of like, all right, you know, I pulled the band director aside, and I was like, you know, hey, you can tell these kids, like, you can let loose, like, it's rock and roll, man. Like, I know you want to stay in line and do your deal. And the conductor was like, don't worry, I got you. And so we go into the next performance of this in the rehearsal space. And he's like, all right, cool, now we're going for showtime. And I was like, okay, showtime, let's go. You know, and so they marched in, and right when the drop on Born for Greatness happens, dude, the whole band starts slamming and rocking out. And I was just like, yes, this is amazing. You know, because I didn't know that they had rehearsed it. They just came in the first couple times just to get it all tight and, you know, ready to go. And then they threw down the performance. And that's when I knew that when we threw this down the next day at Rock on the Range, like, it was just going to be one of those water cooler moments where people would remember and talk about it. And here we are, you know, like, talking about it years later. And God, it was such a rad moment. I want to do that so much more. I'm like, even in, you know, when we go back out to tour again, when things get back to going, it's like, I'd love to do that again, you know, find ways to get with local high school musicians, come out and perform with us. I just think it's sick.
Do you remember the one guy's name that you gave a shout out to as the marching band?
I remember.
I do. For some reason, I remember this. Starts with an M.
Or Marty or
close. What up, Mohammed?
That's right. I knew it started with an M. Let's go, Big Mo. He was right in the middle. He was right in the middle with the band rocking.
Yeah.
I remember that they were just such cool kids, man. And what a great opportunity. And thanks for giving us the stage to do that on, man. And it was a dope moment. And I remember after the performance and going and, you know, rapping with the kids and talking with them, and they were just all like, they had never been a part of anything like that before. So they were all like, all their minds were blown, you know, because they do the high school, you know, throwdown, and you got like, you know, 1,000 people in the stands. Whereas, you know, you come out of Rock on the Range and it's like thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands, you know, and wow, what a great moment. That was that was fucking good.
Well, y'all, we're off stage with Jacoby of Papa Roach. We have entered the final phase of this Q&A. Brother, thanks for spending time with us. I like to call this round the Encore round. I'm going to throw some rapid fire questions at you. First thing that comes to mind, you got to give it up.
All right.
All right. Ready?
Yeah.
If you were in any other band besides Papa Roach, which band would you want to be in?
Uh, oh man, Rage Against the Machine. Just the riffs, dude.
Can
Just
you imagine
dance
Jacoby
to that
front
shit.
and Rage?
Oh, I'd lose my shit.
Do a little bomb track. Number
Oh,
one,
it's just another
two,
bomb
three.
track. Yeah, I love those. That
I would
group.
love to see you sing that. All right, I got one for you. You had to make a choice. Holding Jimmy Garoppolo's clipboard at the Super Bowl or singing one set with Rage Against the Machine.
Oh, dude, singing a set with Rage.
All right.
Hey, dude.
All right. Italian or Chinese?
Oh, if we're gonna go for the freaking thing. I love it.
All right. Godfather 1 or Godfather 2?
Godfather 1.
Interesting.
Yeah, classic.
All right. An alien comes down from his spaceship, and he's got 4 minutes with you.
Okay.
And he said, "Give me one Papa Roach song that explains who you are." What one song would you play to that alien who knows nothing about you?
Born for Greatness, straight up. I just think it's such a, it speaks my heart and my spirit ultimately.
Good one.
Positive core, man, positive.
All right. First rock concert you ever went to?
Poison.
Really?
Yeah.
Loved it, right?
Oh, every second of it. Up in the nosebleeds, watching all the way from up there. It was great.
What was that? Arco Arena?
Yeah, Arco back in the day.
So your first show was an arena show.
Yes.
That says a lot.
That's once I was there, I was like, man, I think I want to be a rock star, Mom. I think she looked at me like I was crazy.
Oh, Mom's went with you.
Yes.
Fantastic.
I was like 12 or 13.
Great.
So.
Great. Favorite record outside of P. Roach, your favorite record of all time?
One of my favorite albums, I would say, is King for a Day, Fool for a Lifetime by Faith No More.
That's beautiful.
That's a good one.
We're at the end. Jacoby, anything you want to say to your fans, people who are maybe struggling during this quarantine to stay at home?
Honestly, like it's getting to the point for me where I'm kind of struggling with it right now, to be honest. So I'm at my wit's end with this thing, dude. I'm like, it's got me back and forth from like fear to hope, and I keep bouncing back and forth between the two because, our career is on the ice right now, and everybody, we're all in a holding pattern. And I just encourage people to just don't lose hope, man. Don't lose hope, and try to be as positive as possible, and try to get outside of yourself and help somebody else. And I gotta do that myself. I think when I get lost, stuck up in my head too much, it's not a safe place to be. And so I think getting out of myself and being of service to others is important, and it's going to be very important to my sanity. And so I encourage people, get out of yourself, man. Go get some sunshine on your face too, because that vitamin D, you need that in your life, man.
Look, that goes back to our festivals. I mean, as not to get too deep or whatever, we're as human beings, we're territorial. We like community. We like tribal. We want to be a part of something.
Yep.
We want to all be in it. Yeah. So we don't like to be isolated. We're not bears hibernating.
Dude, we're not meant for this. And I think as we emerge from this, there's going to be a newfound gratitude and appreciation for being able to be face to face with each other and be able to put hugs on each other and, just get out there and be part of this world again. I'm really looking forward to it, man. I'm really looking forward to giving you a hug, high-fiving at another show, watching a band together. Come on, let's go.
Chili Peppers at the soundboard. Remember that one?
Oh, that was a moment right there, dude.
Yeah.
That was like, and dude, John's back in the band, dude.
We had, don't get me started.
I know. I don't want. Yeah, I know. But hey, I'm excited to see John play with the Chili Peppers again, man. Because that's when, golly, that dude is just that mix of those energies together, man. There's something special about it, man. And yeah, dude, I look forward to seeing that.
Agreed.
I'll stand next to you at that show, bro.
Yeah, dude. Well, hey, we're all going to be back. Let's everybody listen to the experts and professionals. We'll get back. There's lights at the end of this tunnel. I'm starting to feel that, yeah.
Oh, I feel it definitely, man. I mean, they're loosening up the restrictions here, and I just want to be cautious and mindful, and
Yes,
look out for my neighbor and just keep doing the right thing. So, what I'm gonna be doing? I'll be doing cannonballs in my pool in about a hot minute.
All right. Thank you, Jacoby.
Oh yeah,
You've been off stage. with DWP and Jacoby. Later.
Much love, my brother.